Sound check. Slender Man, Slender Man, all the children try to run. Slender Man, to him it's part of the fun. Yes, in case you're wondering, today we're going to be talking about the Slender Man, for the 10th billionth time actually. Yes, I know I talk about Slender Man a lot on this channel, and that's because Slender Man is very important to me. But with that being said, a lot of the times when I talk about Slender Man on this channel, it's usually in a more factual sense. So, how about I go ahead and have a little bit of fun, and talk about what I love about the Slender Man, and why it's so much of an inspiration for me. I discovered Slender Man back when the whole Slender Man craze first started, I'd say around late 2012. I was still living in Pennsylvania, I'd say. It's what I call the Jefferson House, which is the house I lived in for 8 years. It was the very last year I was living there, one of the last few months, and I had just discovered Slender Man by complete chance. After all these years, it's nice to know that even in that house where most of my memories are at, Slender Man was looking at me through my own window. And I just didn't truly know yet. Then we moved to Washington State, and I decided to learn more about the monster. I looked up Slender Man, I looked up just Slender in general, and learned more about the creature and instantly fell in love, to the point where I named my third YouTube channel at that point, Gothic Slender Man. It was the very first time I dropped the Jet Ray name, and also, it's probably my most well-known name. A lot of people still bring up Gothic Slender Man to this day, as much as it kind of bugs me a little bit considering it's Cackling Pumpkins now. I understand that you like Gothic Slender Man, but there's a reason why I don't use Gothic Slender Man anymore. There's a legitimate reason. I'm still a goth, and I love Slender Man, so why didn't I keep the name? Simple thing is, Slender Man is a copyrighted character who is not my own. He belongs to another person named Victor Surge, or, well, at least his real name is Eric Knudsen. Victor Surge is his name on something awful forums where Slender Man was created. So yeah, Slender Man is not my own character, and I want people to know me for my own creations, so I wanted to drop the Slender Man name from my title, just so I could be more me. Just so people would know me for my own creations and not just mooging off someone else's. I just didn't feel comfortable with that. And back when Slender Man was really big, like late 2012 and some of 2013, I believe it was a turning point for the internet, and the horror community on the internet in general. I feel as if the horror community would not be the same if it wasn't for Slender Man and the whole Slender Man craze that came during that point in time. I want you to think about this. In late 2012, when Slender Man started to become popular because of that 2009 post that Eric Knudsen made on Something Awful forums, I want you to also think about something. In 2012, what also became popular? Let's Players. And why was that? Because YouTube changing their algorithmic system to favor minutes watched rather than just simply views. But with that being said, Slender Man was already becoming somewhat of a meme or a trend at that point. So it just so happened that this community was rising up, this character was also becoming popular, and in 2012 there was a game by Parsec Productions called Slender the 8 Pages. I feel as if that also helped not only the Let's Player community be able to use Slender Man to be able to gain recognition, but also got the Let's Players to share Slender Man around and spread the word. Let's not also forget that Slender the 8 Pages is a very easy to download game that anyone can play. It doesn't matter, like, for the most part, Slender the 8 Pages can work on just about any system. It's completely for free, easy to download, and easy to find. And for the most part, a lot of downloads are safe. I have yet to really encounter a bad download, to my knowledge anyway. I just downloaded it again for a Red Room Plus, so if my computer explodes within the next few days, Around the same point in time, the creepypasta community was getting recognition as well thanks to creepypasta narrations and people looking up more about the Slender Man and connecting Slender Man to creepypasta in general. I feel as if Slender Man also boosted the creepypasta reader or narration community and the horror community on YouTube, and it also inspired a lot of indie game developers to look at Slender the 8 Pages and eventually Slender the Arrival and take the mechanic to either make their own Slender games, Slender-like games, or they take something like a famous character and turn them into a Slender Man monster like Poke Slender, or Slendy Tubbies or SpongeBob Slendy Pants, and also to create their own original monsters and using a similar formula. The very simple and sweet formula of running around collecting a set number of a certain object and avoiding a monster. It's a very simple yet basic and easy to understand concept, and I feel as if with all those things happening at the same time, if Slender Man didn't exist, I'm not sure exactly what would happen. Who knows, maybe Amnesia the Dark Descent could have taken that helm, because Amnesia the Dark Descent was very popular at that point in time. Maybe it could have been SCP Containment Breach, that was also popular at the time, and I would say it still kind of is. But it's hard to really say for sure. But with that being said, I feel as if Slender Man's future could have had a lot more to it if it wasn't for one thing, and I hope this doesn't make me sound shallow. I feel as if Slender Man could have been sort of like one of those Halloween monsters, you know, like werewolves, vampires, zombies, and so on. What these things have in common is that they're very adaptive, and they're never just one thing. Take zombies, for example. Back then, zombies used to be legitimate dead people who crawled out of their graves because there's not enough room in hell, and they always went around slowly being like brains and so on, clawing at people because of some demonic thing. And they've also changed over the years. They've become more like a failed experiment. Chemicals made them like this. They're much faster, more vicious, more like... Oh god. The basic concept is still the same. A number of dead people coming back to life to harm the living. Werewolves are kind of the same way, just a guy who turns into a wolf at night. That's the only rule that you really need to follow. You can take these monsters towards any route that you want as long as you follow the most basic rule. And I feel as if Slender Man could have been like that. Now, I feel as if the only rules that you really needed to follow were keep his appearance. He's tall, slender, doesn't have a face, and is known for wearing a suit. And also he hunts people down and takes them... Well, actually, no one really knows, actually. There is some canon out there that, like, says, oh, he either kills them or eats them or sends them to another dimension, but that's what I mean. He is literally a blank slate, and I'm not saying it because of his blank face. That's an easy to make a joke. Get that out of your head now. We need to be a little more original than that. I feel as if that if you just follow the rules of his physical appearance and him following people, you could have taken him towards any route whatsoever. What does he do when he kidnaps a person? Sends them to hell, sends them to another dimension, eats them, kills them, or uses them to taunt people, turn them into proxies, and so on. How does he taunt them? Or how does he follow them? He makes them sick, he gets closer slowly, he drives them to madness, or maybe he does some kind of psychology thing, brings them, has them willingly walk to him. But with that being said, I understand why things are the way they are. The creator of Slender Man is still alive, unlike the people who ended up coming up with the concept of zombies, Dracula, and mummies, and Frankenstein, and so on. Most of those people have been long gone. Oh boy. The creator of Slender Man is still alive and kicking. Eric Knudsen is still alive, and it is his character. It's his choice what happens to the character that he created. If he wants to go ahead and make it more like an open-use character, that's his choice, but if he doesn't want to, that is completely understandable. I am not at all saying that he should feel inclined to do that. In fact, I am very protective of my characters. I wouldn't want anyone to do stuff without my permission or my consent when it came to any of the characters I created. I just feel as if that with Slender Man, he could have easily been this blank slate and been like a modern Halloween monster in that regard. Once again, I'm not trying to be like, oh, he should totally do that. No. Trust me, I respect the fact that he created Slender Man. I hope people don't take that the wrong way. I really feel like they will. But with that being said, I better move on to the next part before people go ahead and being like, you expect Eric Knudsen to do this? No! But with that being said, how did Slender Man help me? Well, it's very simple. Slender Man got me into horror. When I was little, before I became, like, let's say 16 in 2012, I was a little piss baby when it came to horror. I ran out of a showing of The Conjuring in my Hanover movie theater. I became a little fucking wuss to everything. I was scared of the Garage Kids pilot because Ulrich had a weird fish face in that pilot because it was weird, dated 3D animation. As a kid, I got freaked out of a Ronald McDonald cartoon. I was a little fucking piss baby. But Slender Man made me curious. Slender Man made me want to look into things like creepypasta, the horror let's plays, and so on, and got me obsessed with the horror genre, and turned me into the horror fan that I am now. I love the Slender Man, and do I feel as if I would still be the person that I am now if it wasn't for the Slender Man? Entirely possible, but I kinda doubt it at this point. Slender Man has made so much of an impact in my life that if it feels if the Slender Man never existed, who knows, I might not even still be doing YouTube. I might be doing something else in my life. It could be better. But it could also be worse, one can't say for sure. And then I realized something. I'm never gonna have that feeling again. I'm never gonna go ahead and have that feeling of being introduced for my love for an entire genre because of a character like that. But then I realized, while I may not have that first impression anymore, There are still monsters being made that are similar to Slender Man in a sense that they have introduced a lot of people to the genre due to the fact that they've gotten so popular and they came from the mystery of the internet. Look-see monster, creepypasta monsters, SCP, God knows how many indie horror monsters like Bendy or Freddy Fazbear, Momo, and of course the most recent, Siren Head by Trevor Henderson. When I saw everyone being obsessed with Siren Head making games, animation, fan art, and all this kind of stuff, Markiplier talking about Siren Head, and just about like all these videos coming on Twitter, some memes and whatnot, it made me realize that Slender Man still kind of exists. It's just not exactly Slender Man himself. Siren Head is basically the new Slender Man. The spirit of Slender Man is still sort of alive and kicking, and it's just being passed on to new faces that can carry it for the next generation or the next year or maybe even just a few months. Freddy Fazbear, Momo, Looksee, any SCP, Jeff the Killer, any creepypasta, The Rake, and of course Siren Head are essentially the ones passing those torches. And it makes you wonder, who's going to hold the torch next? I hope it's something that I made. I would love for one of my monsters to become a part of this line, to become a part of this almost unofficial tradition of new monsters coming in, holding the torch, and getting more people involved with the horror genre due to the viral sensation of these monsters. And I know some people be like, oh, they've got too popular, but here's the thing, just because something got really popular doesn't mean it should lower its value. Siren Head, Slender Man, Looksee, I think they're all still great. They may have become sort of mainstream in a sense, but that doesn't mean that they're bad. It just means that more people know about them, and more people can get involved with the horror genre because of those monsters. I would love to have a creature that I made be involved in that kind of thing, to become the next torchbearer in that sense. And I absolutely love that Slender Man was able to sort of start this trend. Who knows, there could have been other monsters that started it, or not necessarily monsters, but urban legends. Remember username 666, or some of the earliest creepypastas that some people don't even credit as creepypastas, or David Firth and Salad Fingers, that could be counted as one thing. Salad Fingers is kind of like Slender Man in that popularity sense. But with that being said, I love Slender Man, and Slender Man is still a huge inspiration for me. He may not be as relevant as I'd like him to be, but at the same time, I wouldn't want his inspiration to go any other way. So thank you, Slender Man, and thank you, Eric Knudsen, for creating this Slender Man. If it wasn't for you, I might not even be cackling pumpkins right now. I could be a fucking millionaire. I could have been like Elon Musk.